class. I hope you are all well today. I'm looking forward to continuing reading our book this morning. So, chapter 34. I was on my laptop till about 2 a.m. last night looking up alien abduction. That's what it's called when someone is supposed to have been kidnapped by a spaceship. To be honest, it's made me more confused and scared than I was already. A lot of the stories are very, very convincing, but when I only had to search alien abductions debunked to understand that almost all of them were made up by people who were either A. proven liars, or B. pranksters, or C. people with some proper mental problems. There were tales of spaceships beaming up cars and cows and farmers in Arizona and New Mexico. There was an interview with the parents of a young man called Carlo who went missing in the 1980s, and every day they wait for him to return, even though they're both really old now. There was a story in a newspaper about a World War II bomber plane being found on the moon, and a film of doctors examining the body of a dead alien in something called the Roswell incident. I followed the trail of links, and eventually they almost all turned out to be outright lies or clever hoaxes. I watched video after video on YouTube labelled genuine UFO sighting. These were either A. blurry shaky home videos of lights in the sky, which really could have been anything, or B. teenagers messing about. One, I'm almost certain, was a kid called Jonas from year 9 in our school with a painted beach ball on a string. 10.3 thousand views. Some people, it seems, will go to amazing trouble to deceive other people. But then, I keep saying almost all. You see, there were one or two, maybe three, that were quite convincing. Carlo's parents, for example, or recordings from military aircraft of pilots who had seen things moving faster than any object could possibly move. Pilots aren't going to lie, are they? And then there was the article on an Australian website. It was recent. Wongan Hills man's Christmas close encounter with hairy alien. Wongan Hills, Western Australia, 26th of December. A Wongan Hills man has described the moment on Christmas Eve when he fought with a humanoid creature that he believes was trying to capture him. John Roper, 55, was driving home to Wongan Hills on Hospital Road on Friday the 24th of December. After visiting friends out of town, when a flat tyre caused him to stop at the side of the road. It was about 6 p.m. and the sun was going down. I took the opportunity to step off the road for a pee when I saw this thing coming towards me out in the bush. At first, I thought it was a kangaroo because it's the right kind of height, but when it got closer, I saw it was running on 2 legs. Mr. Roper, married with 2 grown children, described the creature as about 5'7", 170 centimetres. It had grey hair all over and a darker streak running from its scalp down its back. When the creature got near, it raised its hand, which says Mr. Roper, held a baton about the size of a rolled-up magazine. There is no doubt in my mind that it was going to hit me with it. It got right close. I could smell its breath, and it stank like a koala's rear end. I can tell you, I think it had a tail as well. Well, no one takes old John Roper without a fight. I grabbed the wheel brace I'd been using to change the tyre and whacked it a beauty right in the eye. It squealed and ran back the way it came. Then the strangest thing happened. This thing just melted away. 1 minute was there, then it just vanished. There was a cloud of dust like a column going into the air, and then nothing. Mr. Roper fixed his tyre and reported the incident at Wongan Hills Police Station. Inspector Tricia Muscroft of WA Police confirmed Mr. Roper's report. She told the Bush Telegraph, "We were notified of an attempted assault on Hospital Road. We have no further reports of a person matching the description given by Mr. Roper, and no nearby hospitals have treated an eye injury in the last 4 days. We have alerted our officers to be on the lookout." Mr. Roper says, "I know what I saw, and it spooked the hell out of me. I think I had a lucky escape." Mr. Roper's drawing of the alien is reproduced below. I swiped the page and gasped at the drawing. It was exactly like Helly-Ann. The wide eyes, the big nose, the long hair. Only Helly-Ann had not a streak of dark hair. How many are there? I read the article again and again. Below the article were the usual readers' comments, suggesting that Mr. Roper had been drunk or hallucinating. One said, "Hairy violent aliens? Isn't that every resident of Wongan? Lol." I searched for follow-ups or additional articles, but there were none. Eventually, I flipped my laptop shut and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. Chapter 35. Next morning, Dad is on the phone talking to police and journalists, or meeting with people from the village who are being really nice and everything, but there's not much more that people can do. I talked to Mum in the hospital. Her voice is hoarse and she is making a real effort to sound normal, but it's like when people try to sound happy when they're not. You can tell they're lying. Are you all right, Mam, I say, which I know is a daft question. I can almost hear in my other ear Tammy saying, obviously she's not dummy, that's why she's in hospital. And even though I know it's my imagination, it scares me because I wonder if I'm going to have a breakdown like Mam. She says, I'm fine, pet, but she isn't. She speaks a little slower than usual, but Dad says that that's to be expected because she's been given some pretty heavy duty medicine, and I want to hug her and smell her. Tammy and I have this thing. We haven't done it for ages actually, and it sounds silly written down. We both hug her together and tried to squeeze as hard as we could until she begged us to let her go. I cannot breathe, she'd say, but she would be laughing at the same time. Then when we released, she'd say, double trouble. And I so want to do that again that it makes me really sad, but I can't tell Mam because that would make her even sadder. So we had this sort of weird conversation where we pretend that she's okay and I'm okay, and really neither of us is. So by the time she says it, I've got to go, pet. I'm almost pleased, and that makes me feel even worse. Then I hand the phone back to Dad, who talks to her for ages. He's trying to be encouraging and upbeat and reassuring, and all those things that Daddy's normally good at. There's going to be a press conference held at the pub at 3 this afternoon, and already there are journalists arriving, while Sandra, the police family liaison officer, is in the kitchen talking to Gram. I hear Dad say, bye love, then he goes outside. When he comes back in, his nose and eyes are red, though it might be from the cold. Meanwhile, I get a text from Iggy. Same place, half an hour, okay? Sandra says she's not sure if it's a good idea for me to go out, but when I ask her why, she can't really give a good answer. I feel a bit bad leaving Dad and Gran in the house, but I don't think Dad's head is all that straight, and Gran's not going to forbid me from seeing a friend, even one like Iggy. My mind is in a swirl of everything as I cycle along the same route as yesterday afternoon. The road is icy and slippery, and my heart is thumping at what we might find. A real-life alien. I show the news story from Australia about the man being attacked to Iggy. My phone is charged and ready to take pictures, although the camera function is still unreliable. I've sort of allowed myself to daydream about what we'll find. I'll be famous. It's all going through my head as the cold wind whistles past. Ethan Tate, the boy who contacted outer space. It's the sort of thing you see on television. Coming up next on CNN, it's Out of This World. The president meets the plucky British kid whose close encounter changed history. Best of all, I'll get Tammy back, and Kilda will be famous for something other than the tragic disappearance. People would flock to the village where it happened. I can imagine Dad's excitement. Come to the Stargazer, the best pub in the universe. Iggy and I stand on the rickety wooden jetty, and I feel a fluttering in my stomach. The decking is littered with evidence of yesterday's evening adventure. There's a fishing weight and a laser lure, an aluminium canoe paddle, and a length of fishing line from Iggy's attempt to catch the giant pike. I kick away the dust in a snow where he had lain bleeding, and the wood is stained with blood. Bobbing in the water a few metres from the jetty is the red boy. Iggy hasn't said anything. Perhaps he feels the same as me, that we spent a sleepless night and half the day wondering if we both had some sort of dream, a double hallucination. Is that even a thing? And here in front of us, in real-life evidence that we were there, that Iggy did bleed on the planks. Susie pecks in the snow, but keeps close to us. It's almost as if she can remember the events of yesterday and isn't keen to repeat them. We did not, definitely not, imagine it all. Further along the shoreline, to my right, about 100 metres away, lies our upturned canoe, a little speck of orange in a tangle of undergrowth that comes down to the shore. And on the next little inlet along from our narrow pebbly beach is something I'd hardly noticed before, a shabby boathouse, with a rusting corrugated iron roof jutting out into the water. One side is completely open to the reservoir, revealing an empty interior. Its wooden walls had once been green, but the paint is now flaked and faded and covered with moss and ivy. It's difficult to see how you could get into it, so dense is the growth around it. Iggy and I haven't actually said that much. He comes alongside and nudges me. He has taken off his flat cap and scratches his red hair thoughtfully. If you had landed here from who knows where would you go? I look at the empty boathouse as I answer slowly. I suppose I'd look for shelter. Okay, I'm going to stop there for today. I hope you enjoyed the next couple of chapters and I look forward to continuing tomorrow. Have a lovely day.